to Beyond the Headlines, where we break down today's local news stories with our very own reporters. I'm Brianna Rittman.
And I'm Cameron Main. Today we'll talk about changes happening with the East Bluff Community Center. Then we reflect on the Challenger disaster 40 years later.
And lastly, we have some entertainment news for you. But first, the East Bluff Community Center is coming under new ownership, and WMBD's Cameron Main already starting the day off in the hot seat to answer all of our pressing questions. So, what is this all about?
So there were some worries with the East Bluff Community Center. It is obviously a big area for the community there, mainly because there's that food pantry there.
Right.
They have the basketball court. There's a bunch of things and a bunch of organizations that work within it. So it's a big part of the East Bluff to have this kind of building in your neighborhood that has these resources.
Right.
But the group that owns it, the Catholic Diocese of Peoria, I believe is the right name, they were going to look to get rid of it basically and leave the property. And so they were thankful that they were able to find someone willing to take over that property now for an undisclosed price. They did buy it from them, but it is now going to be owned by Center Point Community Church. They're super excited about moving into the area. I got to talk to the pastor today about it. They're really thrilled. They're looking forward to actually, you know, taking over that space, but also that church. They're going to actually take over St. Bernard's Church. That's also on Kansas Street right there. They're going to actually start services as soon as April 5th. You know, they're pretty excited about it. And they're not, they're like pretty happy with the purchase as well. They're like, you know, if it wasn't for paperwork, they would just go in day one, start service, you know, but they're really excited. And, you know, one of their messages to Peoria was like, we're going to bring the gospel of Jesus Christ to the East Bluff. So they're pretty happy with their deal.
And overall, what does the community have to say about this ownership?
Well, I actually did get to talk to 3rd District Councilman Tim Riggenbach, who obviously represents that entire East Bluff area. He's pretty happy with it. There was, I think, a point in time where he was a little more worried about, hey, what's actually going to happen with this area? And especially because that area, that is, you know, that was built in the early 1900s. You know, it is quite a historic area. And especially that East Bluff Community Center used to be a school. And so it's quite hard to repurpose a school. And obviously one of the most important things of that is the food pantry. It has an industrial kitchen, so I think on one of the bottom levels. And
like
they use that as the food pantry. And he was telling me, Riggenbach was saying, that they would have, you know, close to 100 people coming in on the Saturday mornings to get their food. So it was a really important part of their community. And again, as he said, it's quite hard to repurpose the schools. So there were worries of like, is this just going to lay empty? And, you know, Peoria is trying really hard, especially from the city council side, to actually revitalize the area, to build it up, to bring businesses. And so to have something where it's another empty building, they really didn't want something like that happening. So I think, you know, smiles all around that they're actually able to get this thing up and going. And, you know, it's a bit touch and go. We're not exactly sure of some of the things. We know they'll do service. They sound like they're going to keep moving forward with the food pantry. And so I heard even some of them will be there the next Saturday, I think. Well, at least the next time the food pantry is giving out food, they're going to be there to help. And so it seems like they're keeping with that. But some of the other things, we're not exactly sure what their intentions are. They haven't really said it. So not going to say they're going to do X, Y, and Z until they actually say it. But I can report that it is under new ownership and they're planning to use it.
Well, that's amazing, Cameron. Thank you for giving us that update. Now, because I miss co-anchoring with you so much on Beyond the Headlines, I chose this story specifically for you.
Okay.
5-year-old Shiloh is the only dog living on, guess where? Christmas Island.
Oh my gosh.
She originally arrived as an assistance dog, but when her owner returned to the mainland, Shiloh stayed behind with support worker Tanya stepping in as her carer. Now Shiloh is loved by the wider community. People of all ages want to spend time with the four-legged friend after school drop-off. She visits the seniors center and is happily spoiled by Uncle Tan. She gets petted, stroked, and even brushed by her older fan.
Oh, well, that's very sweet. As a big dog fan, I approve of this. Obviously, we've talked about Christmas Island before. It's quite a controversial island if you ask people in Australia, but obviously there are people living there. And I also didn't know that was the only dog on the mainland, you know, because I remember I've had the pleasure of traveling to Samoa, not American Samoa, Samoa.
Okay.
And we were able to drive around with my family through most of the island. It is a beautiful area, beautiful reefs, beautiful rainforest, a lot of mosquitoes, so get your spray ready.
Hello.
But there are a lot of dogs, and there was a big part of their community trying to figure out how to make sure that this wild dog population can go down, because they just kind of bred and
Meanwhile,
went
Christmas
crazy.
Island
and,
has just the one.
and they just have the one, so that's always really surprising to me. And you know, there they, with the dogs, they had a bunch of veterinary communities and groups and nonprofits that were trying to, you know, neuter the dogs, basically, find ways to just like get them, be like, all right, no more kids, and then, you know, go through that way, you know, abstinence, and so that they can go
For the
see
dogs.
God, you know, if that's what they believe in.
All dogs go to heaven, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, when we come back on Beyond the Headlines, we've got Austin Feeman joining us from our Twin Cities newsroom. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines on the WMBD Plus app. Our next story of the day. 40 years ago today, the Challenger space shuttle exploded, taking the lives of 7 people aboard.
Austin Feeman joins us now from our Twin Cities newsroom to tell us more about the Challenger and how the 7 crew members' legacy lives on today. Austin, thanks for coming on. What happened to the Challenger 40 years ago?
Yes, thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Brianna. So, you know, 40 years ago in 1986, the Challenger space shuttle launched from the Kennedy Space Center, and about 73 seconds after launch, it unexpectedly exploded in the air and killed the 7 astronauts that were aboard the flight. And one of those astronauts was actually a teacher who planned to teach lessons to students from space. Now, there was lots of emotion, lots of anger, confusion on why this happened. You know, there was a lot of buildup to this launch, and many Americans were watching this all unfold. And to see it explode like that, it was definitely a dark day for America. But after all of the events, in honor of the lost 7 members of the crew, the families of the crew created the Challenger Center in order to kind of keep their legacy alive.
So yeah, you just mentioned that, the Challenger Center.
Right.
What is the Challenger Center there? What is that all about?
Yeah, so the Challenger Center is a national organization with over 30 locations all across the nation. And one of them is actually in Central Illinois at Heartland Community College, and it's called the Challenger Learning Center. Now, the center is visited by over 5,000 students every year who go there on field trips to learn more about the Challenger, about space, and in the Challenger Learning Center they have a simulation where you can actually experience a space mission. You know, they have a rocket, kind of a rocket ship. Its name is Athena, where you sit down and you can simulate the launch sequence. They have a control room. They have a actual space center in there, and students go in there and they learn about the different roles on a space crew, and they really just learn all about it, and also while honoring and remembering the legacy that those 7 crew members left. Now, when I was in 5th grade, I actually attended the Challenger Learning Center, and when I was there today, it was bringing back a lot of memories. It looks very similar to what it was back then, and you know, I saw the chair that I was sitting in all those over 10 years ago, so it brought back a lot of memories. And when I was there, I do remember learning a lot about the Challenger mission and what happened to the Challenger and why it's important that we are still talking about it today. But really the goal of the Challenger Learning Center and all of its locations was to spark creativity and courage in students to maybe have them be an astronaut one day and working at NASA. Now NASA also has a lot of different roles and literally has every single job you can think of when I was talking to the director of the Learning Center today.
All right, well, thank you, Austin. Real quick before we go, you mentioned the Challenger Center. Are there other ways that the families and friends of the people that lost their lives could keep their legacy living on?
Yeah, so, a lot of it is taught in schools, but mainly it's the Challenger Center. They have over 30 locations, like I mentioned, and they're teaching what happened to children and even adults every single day. And so it's really just a way to remember what happened and honor them and honor their sacrifice. Honestly, they got in that space shuttle not knowing what could happen. And obviously the worst happened, and it was a tragedy, but we learned from that experience. I know NASA learned from the experience. They made a new one, and they tried again. So it's really just keeping that legacy alive of that courage and that determination to get up and try again.
All right, thank you so much, Austin. Appreciate you breaking that down. Now, you might know that before we used to think the moon was made out of cheese. Well, that's also where they get Cheez-Its. And Cheez-It and basketball superstar Jimmy Butler are in a league of their own. Cheez-It continues its partnership with the legendary athlete to release Cheez-It Original Jimmy Butler Limited Edition, a collector's box featuring Butler and his favorite off-the-court snack, Cheez-It Original Crackers. Basketball is more than a game. It's a culture driven by individuality, confidence, and passion. 75% of fans reaching for salty snacks during sports Cheez-It Original. Jimmy Butler Limited Edition is the perfect way to elevate game day cravings anytime, anywhere. So, yeah.
Fun fact, I produced the show and didn't even make that connection when I put it there.
Yeah, Like, I keep on thinking of, like, the Wallace and Gromit episode where they go on the moon and they like, it's quite cracking.
That's so Jimmy Butler's snack is Cheez-Its. Do you like Cheez-Its?
I enjoy Cheez-Its. I think we have a better type of snack in Australia. We call them shapes.
Okay, have your mom send them over.
Yeah, I will. I'll have a ship. There's this thing you can get called a care package, and they actually bring up a bunch of snacks. And I really wanted to do it now because I would love some Wheat Bix, which is our cereal. I don't know what I'm maybe controversial. And just before we go to break, America doesn't know how to do cereal. There, I said it.
Okay.
I've said it.
Fair. All right, we've got an entertainment story for you when we return on Beyond the Headlines. We'll be back. Welcome back. A hit Netflix romantic drama returns for a new season, and Jason Statham teams up with Jason Momoa for an action comedy.
Well, also on that, Dean Richards is in Chicago with a look at what's new on streaming.
The impossible seems possible.
The week's biggest new release is the return of the smash hit series Bridgerton. It returns for the first part of its fourth season with a love affair born at a masquerade ball. See it starting tomorrow on Netflix.
I know I gotta move on, but I'm so stuck, man.
Now on Apple TV, Jason Segel returns as an unconventional therapist, adjusting as his teenage daughter prepares to leave for college. In season 3 of Shrinking, Harrison Ford co-stars.
I need to be in this movie. I was born to play this character.
Also this week, a struggling actor goes up for the part of a superhero while hiding his own superpowers. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Sir Ben Kingsley co-star in a new remake of Marvel Comics' Wonder Man. All 7 episodes are now streaming on Disney+. And in season 3 of School Spirits, a young woman escapes from the world of specters back into real life while leaving a friend stuck on the other side. See it now on Paramount+.
So, you two been chasing murderers in a minivan?
Yeah, he blew up my other car.
Yeah,
that's not what happened.
Surprised me at all.
Literally what happened.
For new movies, Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista are estranged half-brothers making mayhem in Hawaii while investigating a secret conspiracy and their father's murder. The action comedy The Wrecking Crew is streaming now on Amazon Prime.
You've prepared all your life for this moment.
The Russians with their fur coats and the American cowboy.
For new documentaries this week, there's Miracle, The Boys of 80, the story of the miracle on ice when the U.S. hockey team beat the USSR in the Olympic semifinals, taking home the gold medal. This iconic underdog story featuring never-before-seen footage begins streaming on Netflix Friday. Take That examines the rise and fall of one of England's most iconic boy bands. See it on Netflix. And on HBO Max, there's 33 Photos, The Ghetto, taking a closer look inside the Warsaw Ghetto during an uprising during World War II.
The thing about fame is that everything around you changes.
And then, of course, it went downhill from there.
There's also I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not, taking a look at the complicated life and legacy of Saturday Night Live's first big star. It comes to HBO Max on Saturday.
Well, you can always get my movie reviews and home video pics sent right to your phones every week just by texting the word Dean to 97999. In Chicago, I'm Dean Richards.
Thanks, Mr. Richards. That's a pretty good rundown of all the streaming stuff. Have you found anything that you've been interested in recently?
I need to rewatch Bridgerton to catch up to speed to what's about to come out next.
Right,
I've been
okay.
rewatching A Different World. It's it's my favorite show of all time. So that's like from before my time in the late 80s, early 90s. What about you?
I've been watching a lot of Chernobyl with my fiance. We finished it, I think, a couple of weeks ago. That one was fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was one of probably the best TV series I've had the pleasure of watching.
Okay.
Other than that, I've been more on the gaming side of things, as you know, a bit of a gamer in the household. So I find it very hard sometimes to watch some of the series. We actually have been watching Pirates of the Caribbean. That's not really a TV series, but it is a movie. So, you know, so I hear someone laughing in the background. I don't know who's laughing. Pirates of the Caribbean, there's so many episodes, it may as well be a TV series at this point.
All right, here's something a little dear to me. On September 15th of this year, best-selling authors and industry superstars Raina Telgemeier and Gail Galligan team up to create the Babysitters Club Super Special, Babysitters on Board. It's a graphic novel adaptation of the first Babysitters Club Super Special novel, originally published in 1988 and beloved by BSC fans around the world. In addition to the Babysitters Club Fan Edition and the Babysitters Club Super Special graphic novel adaptation, in April of this year, Scholastic will publish the Babysitters Club Friendship Crafts from the editors of Klutz. Ann M. Martin, creator, author of the Babysitters Club, says it's hard to believe it's been nearly 4 decades since the adventures of Christy, Claudia, Marianne, and Stacy began, and I'm thrilled and humbled by the incredible success and enduring popularity of the Babysitters Club.
End quote.
End quote. I have a collection at home of her books, the chapter books.
Really? I've never heard of these.
Yeah, there was like the Sweet Valley High, Babysitters Club, the Boxcar Kids, and Goosebumps.
Is this something
and all
you
that.
would read as a kid, or?
Yeah, it was a chapter book series.
Oh, okay.
And so at the time when I was in elementary school, Scholastic had they have the book fairs that come to schools and stuff.
Right.
But they would have like the subscriptions, and so like one year was Babysitters Club. So my parents paid a certain amount each month and got like 4 books each month. So it was so I have like book 1 to however many.
Right. Okay.
But and over time, I think it's had 2 television series adaptations, and I watched both. And now they have graphic novels. Now, I wasn't a graphic novel person growing up, so I'm interested to see. I might, I've seen a few of them out.
You might dive back into it.
Right. But I have a collection at home.
Oh,
of
okay.
Babysitters Club.
You'll have to take a photo and post it to social media or
I
something
need
like
to
that.
meet Ann so she could sign a book like that.
Oh, yeah.
I have been a faithful supporter, okay, for more than 2 decades. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I'm a reader. So I'm a reader at heart.
Right, yeah.
Before anything else, yeah. Well, thank you for joining us for today's Beyond the Headlines. You can find all these stories and more over on our website, ciproud.com.
For breaking news and weather updates 24/7, log on to ciproud.com and download the free CI Proud to Go mobile app.